Hi, friends. It's Deanna Williston from Our Blooming Catholic Life. We're about a week into the self-quarantine, and I'm checking in to see how you're doing. So, where I'm sitting, I can look out across our backyard, and it just makes me think about how a lot of you were doing Fiat and Nineveh and Exodus 90, and you're already giving up so much and doing so many hard practices, and then bam, this Lent hit you hard because now you're like quarantined. There's no toilet paper. Some people don't have food. It's kind of crazy out there, right? And yet we see some beautiful things happening. I know in my little community, we're seeing a lot more of the families, especially those with young kids, out walking all the time. And while we're standing like a good 10 feet away from each other, it's fun to catch up with each other. It's really funny when it's a big group of neighbors and we're all standing 10 feet away from every other person that's out there. There's like 8 of us. Like, we make sure there's not 10 at one time. But it's just funny how far apart we're standing, and yet we're still kind of hanging out and checking in with each other. It's been a beautiful time to see things like that happen. So I'm kind of excited. I saw this little poem on Facebook. Let's see if I can get it. Grab your markers, your paper, and some chalk. Let's get together for a window walk. And then it has, on Mondays and Wednesdays, it has different things to do. So this coming Monday is to put some flowers either on whatever you have, sidewalk, driveway, side of your house, windows. Like if you're in an apartment, you could still decorate your windows and maybe the front of your door that your neighbors could see. So this Monday, the 23rd, is going to be flowers, right? Spring flowers. And then on Wednesday, it's going to be poems. That'd be fun for a different set of people, maybe, so it gives you a different challenge every time. And then the next Monday, let's do lions and lambs, because it's the last day of, well, almost last day of March. And then on Wednesday, April 1st, let's put some jokes up for people. I thought those were some fun ideas. I don't have any for further in April, but I thought those were some pretty smart ideas and lots of fun that when you're going out on these family walks, I know some of the kids have been starting to get bored because they've been doing it for a whole week, and they've seen everything there is to see. So maybe to try and put some new things up, it'll get them busy decorating to surprise their friends, and maybe it'll get them looking at some things and like searching to see who's decorating and who's doing what, reading the poems and the jokes. I just thought that would be super, super duper fun. So out in my backyard, when I'm looking right now, okay, so we've got a fenced in backyard, obviously, for our adult little dog. And it's kind of odd to see, but there's this bush that was growing in the wild spaces between our yards, and it's pushing through and blooming at the same time. It looks quite glorious, and it reminds me of one of my goals this Lent, right, was to get closer to the Father, to completely trust him. So take down those fences and let it bloom. As well, in the woods between our houses, all these daffodils have sprung up out of nowhere. And it's just so beautiful, thinking even in those dark places that you think sunlight isn't going to reach, that aren't that good for you or anything. And then when you work on it, suddenly there is some blooming. Now, there are some weeds out there as well that are calling to my attention that I need to weed them. And there probably are some things, we've been doing a lot of aesthetic practices. Have we gotten scrupulous? Have we gotten prideful? Have we gotten lazy in them? Have we gotten complacent? And so we're going to need to go out and root those things out. One of the things that can be hard to do because we're kind of quarantined, we seem to be superficially building community. Are we really building community? I've had to check myself. I started to grab maybe a little bit more than I needed at the store. It's something I needed for my security, but then I think, no, somebody with kids in their house is probably going to need that more. And so I have not gotten it. Don't worry, I didn't touch it. I'm on the touch and take rule. Limit yourself, and you touch it, you take it. The only thing that's made that difficult is if you can't find your regular food, how do you read the ingredients label? And that's what I'm using my phone for. So I can read the ingredient label on the phone to check to see if it's safe or what the sugar levels are, for the dietary needs for my family. So we have those things going on. I wanted to read to you. It is from Father Tim Lyons up at the National Shrine of St. Kateri Tekakwitha. He sent such a beautiful prayer letter I wanted to share with you quick. Because it speaks to all of these things I've said. The month of March is recognized as a month of change. This change is one basically centered upon the weather. In like a lion, out like a lamb, or in like a lamb, out like a lion. Unfortunately, these accepted sayings may come true only if certain conditions persist. I must confess that I have no idea how weather does what it does. There are highs and lows, nor'easters and weather alerts and warnings. Storms are named depending on whether they are hurricanes or himicanes. All in all, we have no control over the weather. We live through it and wait for the forecasters. Tomorrow will be warm and mild. Change in our lives is not out of our control. We can choose spouses, friends, careers, and so many other goals and achievements. These decisions are all made with the desire that we will achieve a climate that is warm and mild. How unique that Easter points us to an understanding and a reality of rebirth and change from a world that has been cold and dark. It is almost as if God continues to fill us with His grace during the winter, with the understanding that we are like nature in hibernation awaiting spring. With the freedom of spring comes the freedom to use this grace or potential to do and be what God wants. I truly believe that God fills us with the desire to change to reach our true potential as He so desires. That potential, like our present hibernating landscape, is to become His true daughter, His true son. Let us not fear to become what God desires. Just ask Him each day by praying each morning, God, help me to be the person you most want me to be today. This change of heart and mind reminds us of all God has done for us and continues to do for us. Know that during the storms of life, no matter how they are named, we will each reach an understanding of God's presence and realize the grace we have within us. St. Kateri is truly a model for our times in her life's goal of loving Jesus daily. As the snow melts and the days warm and lengthen, let us walk in her footsteps as we become what God our Father so desires. Allow Him to help us become the child He so wants us to be. Father Tim Lyons, OFM Conventional Chaplain. Isn't that a beautiful letter, dear friends? I hope he forgives me for sharing it. It was just such a beautiful, timely letter. God bless you this week.